次は貴様だ。ザ・ワールド!
As soon as you want to move past faces in a conversation about the game, it seems to turn into
you're racist, you're racist, you're racist, you're a bigot, you're a fascist, you're a fascist.
Somehow we got the game everyone but no one was expecting at the same time. BioWare shows us that they still have a solid drive in them to make a great RPG, and EA's powerhouse publishing should have meant this game had the resources needed to develop a game worthy of a place among at least the first 3 games. The effort is evident, but the elephant in the room remains. It's easy to become torn over a game like Mass Effect Andromeda, whether or not you're a fan of the series or someone checking out the beloved franchise for the first time. But there's a lot going on here. More than a lot of reviewers are willing to allow themselves to get past, although there has been a lot of fair reviews lately and the Metacritic is doing really well. But we're deep in any game below 7 is trash culture, and people could miss out on a decent sci-fi experience lacking a lot of soul, but still fighting to maintain that first game's level of freedom and tools, but falling flat when it comes to tone and atmosphere. The near 700-year trip to the Andromeda galaxy gives the entire team an all-new level of freedom to take the series in a direction they wanted to. While this should have resulted in a huge difference in dynamic storytelling and player-driven situation, the major changes only really seem to take hold in physical gameplay rather than the narrative. As one of the Ryder twins, you're tasked with becoming the Andromeda Initiative's Pathfinder, fully responsible for choosing how the galaxy will be established, or rather re-established, setting up and supporting colonies, and ultimately finding and terraforming habitable worlds if needed. As the Pathfinder, you even choose the order and priority everyone in the initiative is defrosted in. The hard sci-fi power fantasy is in full effect.
Make them lead, or make them go!
Hey, what's going on?
That's your new galaxy. Making speeches about some fresh start while your kids stay frozen.
And it's all thanks to your Pathfinder.
Excuse me?
We've waited months for our families to come out of stasis. They should have gone to your outpost.
But since you think research is so important, military personnel got bumped down the list. Like my clan brothers.
All the reassignments mean they're in 10 different colony blocks now.
And my mother just got caught in the middle.
I founded the outpost. I didn't decide who would stay in stasis.
You don't care that you've torn families apart?
That's not what I said.
Maybe you could still make this right. I just want Mom out of stasis. That's all anyone here wants.
You do stasis revivals. You can tell our leaders you're opening those pods. Today.
I authorize whole colony blocks or a few emergency revivals. I can't wake dozens of random people.
We don't care whose finger pushes the button. If you can't, our leaders can. And if you tell them, they will.
At early moments, it can be hard to get into the setting. The dialogue can be a little vague and roundabout, with some of the characters feeling like it wouldn't matter what you say. But there's an eventual level of chill enabled after the wall is broken. It can seem at times your Pathfinder is a bit too much of a hero and on the side of good for what appears to be no reason, and there's no way out of it through dialogue wheel. Your decisions seem ultimately paragon for the sake of story alone and not really player choice, and its effect on the world could be considered compromised. BioWare's dialogue wheel leaves a lot to be desired, but some of the cast members really do grow on you and have some legit characters unhindered by the animations. This isn't the motley crew we know and love, but there's a charm to this squad, except Liam. Liam will never grow on you. Liam is a shitty character. Cora served with the Asari Biotics. Jal operates as a resistance fighter, spanning a resistance lasting 3-4 planets in the system, and also as people have a really interesting history. You know, we've got some substance here, enough to really go on, enough to sink your teeth into as far as sci-fi content goes. There's just an absolute ton, and it's just available for the player, and it's more than palpable. It all ties into the Mass Effect universe, and everything works at the very least to pull on whatever bits of fandom still remain. Behold, friends, the return of the inventory system that up and left in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Welcome back, vehicles and flying around, landing on planets, doing things, because Welcome back to the familiar gameplay where you kind of feel like you're playing Mass Effect and it's all coming together before a scene comes along, dialogue options pop up, and you see the faces. It's time to be reintroduced to menus and items, weapons with mods and other attachments that add cosmetic effects and stats, infinite ways to really build and tweak and combine the way you play your classes. I had some concerns about being able to play any class on the fly, but it's fun, accompanied by a progression system that unlocks other classes depending on the choices you make while leveling up. The game really does reach some absolutely pure moments of fun and depth that allow you to get lost in its galaxy and feel feels that make you want to put down the bleach cocktail.
How toxic can it be? Ow, shit! Okay, don't touch that.
Would you believe me if I told you BioWare listened to what fans wanted gameplay-wise? I'd even go as far as to say graphics, excluding faces. Environments look great and expansive enough to feel like big open playgrounds with a lot of vistas and nooks to marvel at. And a good deal of the planets you explore really hit high marks. The sound design is sensory overload, weapon sounds among boosting around corners from cover to cover, the wavy sound that happens when you use biotics, and other powers, explosives, and tech also sound rich and crisp in the middle of the action. That amount of freedom doesn't make up for the overwhelming lack of polish or melodrama needed in the story to stir up a deep emotional connection to the player. It all seems to go back to the faces. So in another attempt to avoid the faces, I say screw it. Nope. I'm going back on my ship. I'm gonna go out and probe undiscovered nebulas for precious materials. Gonna use them for R&D. Gonna fight monsters for drops in order to sell stuff and buy more expensive weapons and items from shops, seeing what's over them hills in the vehicle, reading my codex, and floating really high on this heavy sci-fi fiction cloud. Break out the Asimov and the Gibson. But enough is enough. We can't avoid it anymore. Let's discuss the faces.
What happened here? You walked out of the Fade. And our soldiers found you. The only one who escaped a blast that killed thousands. And you have no idea how you survived? At this moment, you are the only threat I see.
The world is tearing itself apart, but they say I can stop this.
We call it the Breach. It grows larger with each passing hour.
Unless we act, it will swallow the world.
Might want to watch yourself. It's raining demons out here.
We will close the breach. We will find those responsible and we will restore order.
God damn it. This was back in 2014, years ago. BioWare Talent already released a gorgeous looking game. It was in a series, it was full of characters and races, political intrigue, decent combat, and most importantly, faces. Dragon Age Inquisition had a lot of characters and stayed deep within its own series lore. Inquisition completely satisfied the need for classic fantasy right before The Witcher 3 came out, and kind of changed what we wanted from the genre overall. To see them take so many steps back with the faces here in Andromeda, it almost completely sours the whole experience. The large missing half of the sci-fi pie in Mass Effect is character development and interaction. Since the first game, there's been this push for resolution between characters and their stories that made an impact on your party members emotionally. Going with Garrus to follow up on his lead, the genophage, reading the books to find out why or what the mission really meant to Anderson, why Jack is who she is, dealing with Jacob's family matters, all the memorable moments left and right. But Andromeda has a dangerous amount of story and content that can just be glazed over, and it really comes down to some poop writing choices. To many, the nostalgia dries up quickly and takes a turn for the worse, and you're pulled completely out of the moment by some terrible animation, stiff dialogue, or awkward motion. You might have to ask yourself, are you willing to just get over it, or are you going to complain about the faces every time? As a hardcore Mass Effect fan, and having survived the abomination that was Mass Effect 3's ending, I have no choice but to continue to play and enjoy the actual good here. Getting past the cringe curve is a tough road, but you can do it, my friend. I believe in you guys. I don't know what happened here, I don't want to know what happened here, but we need a better Mass Effect game in the future. This can't be the end of the franchise. You nail so much from a technical aspect, but you really leave storytelling by the wayside. I hope to see a better one in the future.